And then after these, the habitués of his levee, the regular tenants at his audience, there are the Missi Dominici of all orders, orderly officers of the emperor or of the major general, senators, councilors of state, auditors, prefects, magistrates, mayors, presidents of electoral colleges, aides de camp, or orderly officers dispatched by chiefs of armies. Those armies at certain times scattered from the frontier of Russia to the Pillars of Hercules. And for all these in audience, they have not to beg for it. They arrive full speed at the Tuileries to bring the dispatches, and before them, booted, splashed, covered with the week's mud, even on the days of the most solemn ceremonies, the doors of the inner cabinet open at once. And after he has taken the letters of which they are the bearers, the emperor interrogates them, has everything explained, allows them no reticence, and draws out the truth from them. But the time, when, and how does he find it? He has some to spare. There remains enough to make himself a journalist. And on the most trifling incident, which happens in England, on the smallest attack against France in the English newspapers, he joins issue in those long articles in the Moniteur, which are wanting in all the collections of his works and are among the most telling pages which he wrote. Enough time remains for him to read the translations which Mounier brings him, translations of all the books, of the pamphlets, of all the articles which are published throughout Europe. Time remains to listen to the petitioners who come to talk of their private affairs, of their debts, and of their ambitions, of their children, and of their relations. He takes interest in these private affairs. It refreshes him. He likes to be talked to about them, as though he had not enough to do, and that sufficient applications were not addressed to him. He orders 2 auditors of his council of state to be always in attendance from 10 to 12 o'clock in Salle de Maréchal to receive all the petitions which it is wished to present. Again, he has a hand in the arrangement of marriages. He is a list drawn up of heiresses who are marriageable. He was in hopes of attracting them to court, uniting him to his officers. He makes the fathers come to wit, Monsieur d'Aligre, whom he offers to Calancourt for his daughter, on whom he lavishes all his favors to obtain her consent, but who refuses very promptly and thinks no arrangement could be worse. If the marriage which the emperor desires is brought about, there are no limits to his generosity. There are 1,000 instances of it. As to the constraint, just one instance in order to reply to a recent allegation. Napoleon affirms the writer compelled the Count de la Rochefoucauld to give his daughter Riddell to Count Aldobrandini, who was 48 years of age. The father and the daughter attempted to fly, but were afterwards compelled to yield. We shall see the poor child resisting her haughty sister La Pauline, reestablishing the honor of the Borghese by her dignity and her virtue, saving their embarrassed fortunes by a skillful administration for 60 years. Now, Prince Aldobrandini was born in Rome in 1777. He was therefore 32 in 1809. Monsieur Alexandre de la Rochefoucauld, who, on account of having married a cousin of the Beauharnais, had been made prefect of the Seine and Marne in 1800, minister in Saxony in 1801, ambassador to Vienna in 1805, ambassador to Holland in 1808, count of the empire in 1809, had absolutely no fortune whatever. His letters to the minister prove it. His wife, lady of honor to the empress, at 30,000 francs a year, begged like her husband, and like him was always getting something. There was no sort of intrigue which they did not put in motion to bring this marriage about, in which they gave no portion to their daughter, while the future husband brought 100,000 livres de rente. It was Napoleon who portioned Mademoiselle Françoise Constance de la Rochefoucauld with the palace formerly belonging to her Imperial Highness the Princess Elise, situated at number 7, Rue de la Chaise, and 13, Rue de la Grenouille, acquired by His Majesty the 3rd April 1808, together with the furniture valued at 800,000 francs. The Princess Aldobrandini, appointed lady-in-waiting to the Empress Marie-Louise, at the same time that her husband was named first equerry, did not appear on the voyage from Cherbourg to have undergone any restraint. It is true that in 1814 she hastened to assert by her presence at a ball given by Blucher in the Palace of St. Cloud that the favors of the usurper were not such as a person of her birth would retain any recollection of. Marriages were his diversion, but he found time to make them well. And as we saw, he bore his part in them, but he also found time to preside over the Council of State, and that took longer. The Council of State sat at the Tuileries, and the Emperor, to reach it, passed through the state apartments, followed by the Chamberlain of the day and the aide-de-camp on duty. He crossed the Hall of the Marshals and the Hall of the Guards, went down the grand staircase of the Central Pavilion, and mounted a straight and very broad staircase supported by figures of silence and meditation, statues by Degussot and L'Hôpital.